All right, I got Melody Zenith on the line. She's another musician that is participating in the current interview session. So I'm going to go ahead and give her the chance to introduce herself.
Hi, my name is Melody Zenith. I'm a singer, songwriter, producer, originally from St. Paul, Minnesota, currently in Los Angeles, California. I make I make dark wave, post punk influenced type music.
All right. Well, thank you so much for joining me. I appreciate it. So let's kind of talk about how your journey with music began. Tell me a bit about how you first connected with music and what about it made you want to pursue learning and participating with music.
Well, my dad was a guitarist, um, pretty professionally for like 20 years of his life, maybe longer. So he had a lot of stories of kind of like almost making it, playing with like, opening up for like Tina Turner and like these kind of just like rock star stories where he sort of like, he was kind of on the cusp of like I said, like almost making it, but not quite. He did do decently compared to like the average musician, but by no means did we have some kind of like awesome, glamorous, like, life. But hearing those stories, it was really cool. And, there were always instruments around because my parents had a band and I would sit and like play like the tambourine or something alongside. Or I started to, we had a piano in my basement. So I started to play things from movies by ear and write songs. And my parents were like, that's kind of weird. None of us can even play the piano. I don't know why she's doing that. And around 10, I got guitar lessons, which was like my first instrument. I started singing. And 15, I got into like really janky homemade music production type things with like basically like the Windows version of GarageBand. And yeah, I started doing open mics. I met my partner, bandmate, not partner like romantically, but like my bandmate who I do music with. And yeah, now I'm here doing it.
Okay, so let's talk a little bit about that period of time when you first kind of connected to music. Did you feel like it was just kind of a natural kind of pull to start learning an instrument and then start playing it? You kind of mentioned your parents were a little bit surprised that you picked to it so quickly, so I feel like there wasn't a lot of pressure there for you to kind of follow in their footsteps.
Oh no, not at all. They didn't really care what I did. I mean, I'm sure it was cool that I liked something specifically for my dad, who was like a really serious songwriter, guitarist kind of, but I mean, there was like no pressure. I just kind of picked it up. I don't know. I just always felt drawn to it. I don't remember wanting to do anything else.
Okay, and then once you kind of made it more of a permanent interest, did you do private lessons or anything, or did you get lessons from your parents, or was it all kind of self-taught?
A lot of it was self-taught and then some lessons and stuff here and there. Like I worked with a voice teacher in Minnesota at Walker West Music Academy when I was like 20. She was amazing. She actually died a couple years ago. Her name was Debbie, and she like had sang backup for like I think like she had a lot of connections to like Stevie Wonder and Prince and stuff like that. Because Walker West Music Academy was the academy that like Prince's family donated or Prince had donated to, and I think like the Walker family had some connection because like I grew up like in Minnesota in like the urban part of Minnesota. So it was like kind of like the immigrant area, like pretty culturally diverse, very underprivileged compared to like, say like the suburbs of Minnesota. So there was like a music academy like really close to me. I could just walk to. So I did that. And then my dad was a guitar teacher technically. So he just taught me that. I never really learned piano formally. It was just kind of like, and I'm still not great at it. I'm like pretty average. Like I can pick up little melodies and stuff by ear and I can do some basic chords, but I'm not like a great piano player by any means. So that's more of like a thing I just use to assist my songwriting. Yeah, I hope that answers the question.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's talk about. You mentioned that you were able to do some kind of rudimentary self-recording using something like Audacity. I'm going to assume you said it was Windows based. So tell me a bit about that process. What was kind of the motivation to begin creating your own music?
I did use Audacity at one point. I used Mixcraft, which was kind of like GarageBand, but I also used Audacity. Anyway, the motivation, I don't know. I think because my parents were in like a guitar based band and did like real rock music. When I kind of was like, I want to do electronic music, I found like Bjork and Tricky and just like these like really moody, weird, like trip hop and like industrial. And I was like, I kind of want to do music more like this. Like this is more aligned with how I feel. So I think like messing around with starting with like just like sampling and loops and doing my own little recordings and layering and mixing and stuff was just kind of like, I don't know, like it was fun. I love to do it. It was just what I love to do. I didn't actually really show anyone my songs at first. I just kind of kept them to myself for a while. I still don't, like I said, I certainly, to get the sound that comes out of what we do now really requires like expensive equipment, professional mics, the greatest synthesizers and whatever. So I'm not claiming to be like a production genius by any means, but I do think like it helped with learning like structuring of songs, songwriting, understanding of production so I can collaborate with, my bandmate and things like that. So I don't know. I had a lot of fun. I do like so many, it was fun. I just like sit there with like a Target microphone and record weird vocals and background vocals and put together like weird songs. Back then when you like had looping and sampling and stuff, with what I had, you did not know the key of the sample. You didn't know the BPM of the sample. You had to like put it all together by your ear yourself. Now it's so much easier. Everyone uses I'm trying to think of the program, but everyone uses like programs that do all that automatically. I did not have that. So it's a good thing I knew like a little bit of music theory from guitar and stuff. So I think I had like a natural inclination to being good at it.
Sure, and it's definitely a start. Everybody's got to start somewhere, so at least you had the mechanisms available for you to at least have the outlet to begin the process.
Yeah, absolutely.
So tell me a bit about how that developed into kind of what you're working on now. You mentioned that eventually you were able to find somebody, a writing partner. Tell me about that process of kind of connecting with somebody to work on the kind of music that you wanted to make.
For sure. Well, I met a producer at an open mic who was like older and more experienced and like a legitimate producer with like a real studio. And I was just kind of like a DIY studio type punk kid at that point. And we started working together and I had my old project, which was called Queen of the Static Opera before I came out with Melody Zenith. And it was more like industrial and more ambient and like kind of more it wasn't like so much dark wave. It was more experimental and kind of just all over the place. So we were doing that for a while, trying to figure out kind of what the sound would be. And then I decided to rebrand and kind of found the place of where I am now as an artist and like the comfort level I am in terms of like collaboration and like when I began, I noticed a lot of artists go through this too. There's like a ego is a huge part of how they create. So it's about like, I need to do everything myself, blah, 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 blah. I do this, I do that. Look at all my scales, look at everything I know. And when I started working with my collaborator, I realized like how much I was writing from an ego perspective. And I started to think more about what is best for the actual song. Sometimes it's not always like, let me play a bunch of whatever over this, or I need to do this. I need to solo here. I need to be singing like Mariah Carey here. I need to be, I don't know, like I really started to hone in on like realizing like, this is what I'm good at. This is the point of it. Kind of an acceptance of like, feeling talented enough, like you contribute, but also open enough to collaborate. Cause music is really boring when you're doing it alone. Like I did music alone for most of my formative years and it was fun. And I think it helped me develop where I am, but I don't like doing music alone anymore. It's boring. So when I met him, it was like, I don't know. I think he kind of helped bring me to the next level, helped make me realize I was writing a lot from ego rather than writing just trying to express an emotion and give people an experience, you know?
So through all of that, you mentioned that, you know, you kind of honed your artistry to kind of figure out the type of artist that you wanted to be. So tell me a bit about where that has brought you to. Are you out there releasing material and then doing shows, or, you know, what do you kind of have as your vision?
Like my vision for where I want the project to be.
Yeah, for like the trajectory that the project is currently going artistically, and then, you know, also playing shows and doing things like that.
Yeah, sure. Well, I mean, I think like I do want to go a little bit more, I think, experimental and throw out a little bit of the formula with my earlier singles because like I was doing like the single formula, which is what you're supposed to do on Spotify right now, which is release like basically every song instead of an album as a single to get the algorithm to kick you. And like I probably still will do that. I'm not saying I'm too good for that, but I do kind of want to just like I don't know, I had a deeper realization of like what I make and what I write is just never going to be mainstream sounding. So why not lean into that and just kind of like do what, you know, be me. Not that I really was trying super hard before, but it was just kind of like I realized like I'm just going to be underground no matter what, probably, especially since like most pop musicians get signed when they're like 15 years old. It's true. It's just not going to happen for me, but be fun. Um,
Yeah, tell me about. You mentioned the releases that you're doing. How about doing shows? I know you've advertised some shows that you're doing, but what does that look for like for you going forward? Are you looking to do like a show a month kind of thing, or what's your plan?
I'm planning to do like a mini tour in January, and I'm planning to. I'm hoping to get on some festivals soon. I'm trying to see what I can do for that. I have one mini festival I'm doing in San Diego in May, and then maybe something else. But yeah, so I'm trying to get into touring, but like slowly because I'm sort of like I don't know. I don't love the idea of like stressfully traveling for like 2 months. That sounds, but I mean, I'm willing to do it, but for the cause and stuff. But I figured out a way to do it where I'm kind of like comfortable with it. So I'm just going to start out with a Southwest tour. I'm going to be going like Vegas, like Arizona, just places that are like nearby.
Yeah, that's great.
And yeah, and I've been doing local shows for like a year pretty much. So I mean, I'll keep doing those.
Okay, so that covers, you know, kind of what your release schedule is, and then kind of what your plans are for the somewhat immediate future. The festival trajectory, I think that's a great strategy. So let's kind of switch gears for just a quick sec. Tell me about how this has all motivated you. Like, what has happened in your life that keeps you motivated to want to continue to do this?
I don't know. I just think it's that's a good question. There's no money in it. Like it's hard. There's a lot of downsides to it. At the same time, I don't have anything else I want to do. I do believe that music is powerful, even though I think culturally and economically, with the way society is right now, we do everything we can to like devalue art by not paying artists and not considering it like a real job and all that stuff. I think it's important and powerful. I think my music is not about like having a good like my music is not like good time party music. it's it's kind of complex and it's kind of dark and it kind of deals with uncomfortable themes, and I think that that's part of like kind of my soul's spiritual journey here is to explore like healing and you know, the darkness and the light and the liminal space in between, you know, through that. So I don't know, I'm not really sure.
Sure. I mean, I can definitely relate to that. One thing I always think about whenever, because the music I make is very much on that same vein where it's not comfortable music. And I always think of a quote that the comedian Bill Burr said when he was first getting on the comedian scene. Chappelle told him that it's going to take a lot longer for people to catch on, but once they do, they're going to latch on. And that quote has always stuck with me because of that. Like when you're in the vein that you're making underground, uncomfortable music, like it might take a little longer, but people are going to resonate with it a little bit more.
I think there's like a longer yeah, because I think about like there's a lot of music where it's kind of like fast food. Like, you know, you'll like it for a month or something and then it'll just kind of disappear for you versus music with like more emotional weight is maybe it's not as easily consumable, but it's like it means more to people that consume it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. I completely agree. Okay, so what are your social media links? Where can people find you and follow along with what you got going on?
Sure. Well, you could support me on Patreon, patreon.com/Melody Zenith. You can support me for free or for $5 or whatever. I have like unreleased tracks on there. You get new tracks first. I do like little weird things like I can give you like a astrology reading or we can have like a Zoom meeting or just all sorts of weird little benefits. And I do a Twitch show twice a week, twitch.tv/Melody Zenith, 7 p.m. PST till like about 10. I'm on Instagram, Melody Zenith Music, YouTube, just put in Melody Zenith. Should come up. Subscribe. Um, check out my Spotify. I do community playlists sometimes where I take like local artists from the scene or artists that I just find online or whatever that I vibe with, and I try to do a collective. Well, I just started doing this, but I'm trying to do a collective playlist, and I'm putting it on my Spotify. And where else can you find me? And I'm on TikTok, Melody Zenith Music, I believe.
All right, perfect. So I always like to give the person I'm interviewing the opportunity to put out their last word. So what's a message that you have that you want other people to hear?
I think we should just try to be kinder. I don't know, and be careful right now because free speech is clearly like a hot topic right now on every side of the political spectrum. It feels like especially there's a lot of censorship going on, and I think that we should appreciate, and especially as artists, to use our voice in a way that can better the world. I don't know. I feel so self pretentious. I'm like, I don't know what the fuck, but that's what I would say, I guess.